The morning she left, no one noticed. There were no slammed doors, no angry words, no dramatic goodbye. Just the quiet sound of a suitcase wheel rolling across the wooden floor, and a woman walking out of a life that had slowly broken her piece by piece. She didn't leave a note. She didn't take much. Just what she could carry and the courage she barely had left. What no one knew was that within hours, everything would change. Because somewhere far above the clouds, a billionaire had just given an order that would turn her story around forever. Before we begin, if you believe in the power of kindness and second chances, make sure to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Welcome to Kind, where stories remind us how one act of compassion can change a life. Emma Carter had always believed in love. Not the fairy tale kind, but the real kind, the kind you build over time with patience, forgiveness, and effort. When she married Daniel, she thought they were building something strong. For a while, they were. But life has a way of revealing cracks slowly. At first, it was small things: missed dinners, unanswered texts, conversations that turned into arguments for no reason. Then came the silence, the kind that sits heavy between two people who used to laugh together. Emma tried. She tried harder than most people would. She stayed up late waiting for him. She cooked his favorite meals. She even blamed herself when things went wrong. "Maybe I'm not enough," she would whisper to herself at night. But kindness should never mean losing yourself. And one night, after another cold argument that ended with Daniel walking out without looking back, something inside her finally broke. Not loudly, not dramatically, just quietly and completely. That's when she knew it was time to go. She left early the next morning. The sky was pale, the streets still empty. She carried one suitcase and a heart full of exhaustion. There were no tears left, just a strange sense of calm. Emma didn't have a plan. She didn't have family nearby. All she had was a small amount of savings and the determination to start over. She took a bus to the nearest city, staring out the window as her old life faded behind her. Hours passed. By the time she arrived, reality began to settle in. She found a small diner and sat quietly in the corner, ordering the cheapest thing on the menu, a cup of coffee she barely touched. That's when she noticed him. An older man sitting alone by the window. He looked out of place not because of what he wore, but because of how he carried himself. Calm, observant, almost invisible despite the quiet authority in his posture. Emma didn't mean to stare, but something about him felt familiar. Not like she knew him, but like she understood something about his loneliness. Their eyes met briefly. She quickly looked away. But a few minutes later, something unexpected happened. The waitress approached Emma with a soft smile. "Your coffee's been taken care of," she said. Emma looked confused. "By who?" The waitress nodded toward the older man. Emma hesitated. She didn't like accepting help from strangers. Not anymore. But something in her heart told her this was different. She stood up, walked over, and spoke gently. "You didn't have to do that," she said. The man smiled kindly. "I know." There was no pity in his eyes, just warmth. Emma sat down across from him, unsure why she felt comfortable doing so. "I'm Arthur," he said. Emma. They talked. At first, it was simple small talk about the weather, the city, the coffee. But slowly, something shifted. Emma found herself opening up in ways she hadn't in months. She didn't tell him everything, but she told him enough. "I just left something that wasn't good for me," she said quietly. Arthur nodded, as if he understood more than she said. "That takes courage," he replied. Emma shook her head. "It feels more like failure." Arthur leaned forward slightly. "No," he said gently. "Staying where you're not valued, that's the real failure. Walking away, that's strength." For the first time in a long while, Emma felt seen. Not judged, not dismissed, just understood. They parted ways shortly after. Arthur didn't ask for her number. He didn't offer money or make promises. He simply said, "Take care of yourself, Emma," and she believed he meant it. Emma spent the rest of the day looking for a place to stay. Everything was expensive. Everything felt uncertain. By evening, she found a small, run-down motel on the edge of the city. It wasn't much, but it was something. She checked in, sat on the bed, and finally let the silence sink in. That's when the doubt returned. "What am I doing?" she whispered. The fear was real, but so was the quiet strength growing inside her. A few hours later, something unusual happened. A sleek black car pulled into the motel parking lot. Emma didn't notice at first, but when there was a knock on her door, her heart skipped. She opened it cautiously. Standing outside was a man in a sharp suit. "Emma Carter?" he asked politely. She nodded, confused. I've been asked to bring you somewhere, he said. Emma frowned. I think you have the wrong person. The man shook his head. No, ma'am. Mr. Arthur specifically requested you. Her mind raced. Arthur? The man from the diner? Before she could respond, the man added, there's a plane waiting. Within an hour, Emma found herself at a private airport, standing in front of a jet. She had never seen anything like it. Her hands trembled slightly. This can't be real, she whispered. But it was. She stepped onto the plane, her heart pounding. Inside, everything was quiet, elegant, and surreal. And there, seated calmly as if this were the most normal thing in the world, was Arthur. He looked up and smiled. I was hoping you'd come. Emma stood frozen. What is this? She asked. Arthur gestured for her to sit. I owe you something, he said. Emma shook her head. You bought me coffee. Arthur smiled softly. No, you gave me something much more valuable. She looked confused. What do you mean? Arthur leaned back slightly, his expression thoughtful. For the past year, I've been trying to understand people not in boardrooms or meetings, but in real life. I wanted to see who still chooses kindness when they have nothing to gain. Emma listened, unsure where this was going. I've met hundreds of people, he continued. Most didn't notice me. Some did, but only because they thought I could offer something. He paused. But you sat down, not because of who I was, but because of who you are. Emma felt her chest tighten. You were honest, he said, even in your pain. And you still had kindness left in you. She looked down, overwhelmed. I don't feel strong, she admitted. Arthur smiled. Strength isn't about how you feel. It's about what you choose to do anyway. Over the next few hours, Arthur shared something that changed everything. He was a billionaire. But more importantly, he was someone who believed in using his resources to help people rebuild their lives, not with charity alone, but with opportunity. I don't want to save you, he told Emma. I want to support you while you save yourself. He offered her something simple but powerful. A chance. A job in one of his companies. A safe place to stay. Time to figure out her life without fear. No conditions. No expectations. Just trust. Emma didn't know what to say. Tears filled her eyes, not from sadness, but from something she hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. Why me? She asked softly. Arthur smiled. Because kindness like yours deserves a second chance. Months later, Emma stood in a bright office, looking out over the city. Her life was different now. Not perfect, but hers. She had rebuilt herself piece by piece. She had learned to value her own worth. And most importantly, she had never lost the kindness that defined her. One afternoon, as she left work, she saw a young woman sitting alone outside, looking lost. For a moment, Emma hesitated. Then she walked over. Hey, she said gently, are you okay? The woman looked up, surprised. And in that moment, Emma realized something powerful. Kindness doesn't end with one person. It moves, it grows, it continues. Sometimes, life breaks us in ways we don't expect. Sometimes, we walk away with nothing but courage and a fragile hope. But even in those moments, kindness can find us. And when it does, it has the power to rebuild everything. So if you ever feel lost, remember this. One kind moment can change a life. And sometimes, it might just change yours. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs a little hope today. This is Kind, where every story reminds us that kindness still matters.